Kodak got a pardon from the president, man. Trump gave him a pardon. And it seemed like after he got that pardon, he went harder. It's like he was just going in even more lit. We seen him out in the middle of the street eating chicken, high as a kite, running around. And, he's taking the most hardest drugs out there. Like he going all the way in. And, he's addicted. And one thing, about addiction, that shit don't just go away. That's something that like you really gotta wanna do yourself. You gotta really wanna, get away from something in order for you to not be so, addicted to something. Anything you like, you get addicted to. And the drugs and shit, they put certain chemicals in it for the body to like it. You know what I'm saying? On some real shit. They put certain chemicals in there for the body to like it, and you start yearning it. These things that they got out here in the streets, they know what's in them for your body to react to it, to like it. And this is why people get hooked on these things and get, caught up. The design of it. That's why you should never try drugs, because you'll end up liking this shit. And that shit'll take you, down a whole nother path. So, I got a little poll in the chat. And it says, do you think Kodak Black took his pardon for granted? You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I do. I think he took it for granted. Some other people that could have got that pardon that probably would have appreciated it, and been thankful. I don't think he was thankful. He just looked at it like, I'm going to do what I want because I got money, and continue to do the same thing. Smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. Share this live. Too's Much was popping. Let's check this joint out and let's see what his hearing said. Hit the like button, y'all. Hit the subscribe button.
Bradford Cohen on behalf of Bill Judge.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. If you can just tell me your name and your date of birth. All right. Date of birth.
11/1997.
All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Capri, you are here for your initial appearance. You were arrested pursuant to an arrest warrant, so probable cause was previously determined by Judge Murphy. We are here for purposes of today for determining your bond and as well as conditions of bond. Before we do that, is there anything that the defense wishes to add?
I do, Judge. I just want to point out a couple things with the arrest and the affidavit for arrest. I know that PC has already been found.
Yes, sir.
Generally speaking, I always like to make the court aware of the strength or weakness of the case, because I think that goes towards the bond. In this case, Judge, this happened in November. Oh, before I get to that, we also self-surrendered for the court's edification. We self-surrendered. He was in California. I had him fly back specifically for this case. I was notified by the U.S. Marshal Service and given the opportunity to surrender him. U.S. Marshal Service was beyond professional in this case, just for the record. But if you read the affidavit that is attached to the warrant, Judge, essentially what happened here was there was two vehicles.
Yes, sir.
Neither of the vehicles are registered to Mr. Capri personally. An officer approaches the vehicles. One vehicle, he says, smells like marijuana. He searches that vehicle, finds something in that vehicle that is unrelated to Mr. Capri. The second vehicle, and he doesn't even see Mr. Capri on the scene at this point. The second vehicle, they then inspect. There's one person in that vehicle. There's two bags next to that person, both in the passenger side of the vehicle. One bag has drugs in it and some other items. The other bag has what he initially says, and he doesn't put this in his affidavit, he initially says that he tests it, and it tests as 27 grams of cocaine, which is just under the trafficking amount of 28 grams. When he then sends it in, allegedly, it becomes MDMA. So I also have his original report that says when he originally tested it, it tested as cocaine. Inside that bag, there's some items that he says belong to Mr. Capri. an identification and some paperwork. He then sends things off to get printed. None of the things in that bag come back to Mr. Capri as his fingerprints. I think there were several latent prints taken off. None of them match Mr. Capri. At that point, then Mr. Capri approaches the officer and is now on the scene, was not in the vehicle, and doesn't make any admission that the bag is his or anything like that. The officer then goes one step further and goes on Mr. Capri's Instagram, and on one picture in his Instagram, there's a picture of him standing next to a bag that looks like the bag that was in the car. Now, I know PC was already found, so I'm not going to argue PC, but it's really screaming at me, but I won't argue it. But I mean, the case law on this is so very clear. And I use two very, very, I think, esteemed cases. One of them is Edmond v. State, and the other one is McCrae v. State. And I'll just give you a very brief on it.
Right. So let me ask you this before we get into the cases. Yes. One, has a copy been given to the state?
I'll give her a copy. I'm sorry.
Because certainly last thing we want to do is have a hearing by ambush.
I use these in a lot of the construction possession cases. So the Edmond case is kind of an amazing case. The police raid a house on a warrant. The guy's hiding in the closet with wet cocaine next to him in a hole that his head is within 1 foot of the hole. On the stove is cooking cocaine. Next to the stove is his ID and some paperwork. In a bedroom in the house is more paperwork that belongs to him. The court found that's still not enough for constructive possession. It's kind of an amazing case, and I'll give you the exact site for it, but it's Edmond v. State, and the state has a copy of it.
When you listen to the lawyer talk about the case law, though, right? Y'all remember Wicked 100 said that the court that he was in Texas didn't want his case to be case law. Now, they want the cases to be case law because this is how they refer to different situations with the cases. If the case was beat or if the case was found guilty, they got to have these different cases to refer to case law. So when he was saying that the courts didn't want his case to go, be referred as case law, that lets you know there that he was lying also. This is how they reference different cases from the case law. They all go back to case law to prove their point with anything, But with Kodak here, you can tell he's gone. You can look into his face, his eyes, and see that he's gone. The lawyers is getting money off of him. They don't care about him. They getting paid. Every time he catch a case, they getting money. So they kind of want him to catch the cases. That's how they get paid. So they don't have his best interest. But if they can keep, finding loopholes in the case to keep him out there, they know he's going to catch another case. I see him ODing in the future. I ain't even going to lie. Yeah, I see him ODing if he don't get his mind right, because you can't abuse that shit to the point where as though you keep getting more and more and more and you getting high, and you don't fall out. Your body can't take that abuse forever.
The other one is McCrae. In McCrae, they're pulling a guy over. They pull him over. He jumps out of the car and makes a run for it. As he's running, the officer sees that he's playing with his waistband and makes a throwing motion. He puts him down on the ground, arrests him, and tells the other cop, hey, go back and see what he threw. They find a baggie of cocaine, no fingerprints on it. They print it, no fingerprints on it. And the court says that's not enough for constructive possession. Those cases are so much closer to constructive possession than this case. And I would just ask the court, in considering a bond, to look at the case, to look at the affidavit that's with the case. And I understand that the typical bond on this is $50,000. I'm asking for a $10,000 bond. on my way here on the train, I was typing up a motion to dismiss. It's just, there is not enough here. I
Right,
get
and
it.
I'll stop you there. I mean, obviously, you know that the motion to dismiss
I know.
is for another day.
I
We're
know,
here
Judge.
for the sole purpose of
Yes, Judge.
determining bond and conditions of bond. Your
I do.
client,
And I appreciate, Judge. And I don't know if you
I've
want-
got the sites for you, Your Honor.
Oh.
Edmund versus State is 963, starting section 344, it's 2007 case for TCA, and the McRae versus State is another 4 TCA case out of 2006. I have that site, given the case over there. Again, not arguing PC, it's been found.
yes, sir.
I believe that the importance of this information is the strength of the case, something for the court to consider. Additionally, again, as Mr. Cohen had said, this was a self-surrender case. This is not somebody who is a flight risk, and the strength of the case, using the word strength very, very loosely, would ask that the court consider a low bond.
And he's never failed to appear, as long as I've represented him.
As long as you've represented him, there is at least one.
I've represented him
failure to
since he was like, I don't know, 17. Yeah, there might be one really far back in the past.
appear. There's one from 2016. Before I determine conditions of bond and bond amount, State, is there anything that you all wish to add?
No, Your Honor, as both attorneys said, they're not arguing PC, and PC has already been found. The schedule for trafficking is $50,000. PC has been found for a trafficking, so the state would ask that you give a bond of $50,000. The state would actually ask that you increase the bond, as the defendant is a professional rapper. As the counsel has indicated, he flew in from California. He is also, when you do a search, listed as a Haitian American. He does not have any ties to Orlando. He's from Pompano Beach, but again, he flew in from California. So state would not only ask that you have the bond at $50,000, in light of his occupation and lack of ties to Orlando, that it actually be increased, and one of the conditions be that he surrender his passport.
If I can just address that very quickly, Judge. He is a proud Haitian American, but he is an American. He has a U.S. passport. He doesn't have any plans on leaving the country. I mean, we've faced cases that are 10 times this case, and I've won, by the way, but we'll put that into another bucket.
You see how it's a joke to him. He talking about the cases that he had before that he beat. It's a joke to him. He go home to his family every night, but he getting paid from the situation. So he don't care.
But the fact that he's a rapper doesn't give you a legal purpose to raise the bond. So I would still ask for a $10,000 bond, Judge.
All right, well, I appreciate all the argument. Again, Mr. Capri, you're charged with trafficking in methamphetamine or MDMA, more than 10 grams, less than 200 grams. That is a first-degree felony. Again, you are entitled to a bond, so I am going to give you a bond. I have considered the strength of the case as well as everything that was set forth in the arrest affidavit. I understand the arguments presented by your counsel. I think one of the things that was left out was, well, you weren't necessarily claiming ownership of the bag. You were requesting that the funds within the bag be turned over to you. So there at least is some tie, seems like, to the court, to that bag. Nonetheless, I think in terms of bond, I am going to slightly increase the bond. I think based upon your, not the fact that you're a rapper, I think that has no binding, but the other factors that the court considered is your prior criminal history, including 12 prior felony convictions, 2 misdemeanor convictions, 1 failure to appear. That was quite some time ago, so I'm not giving a ton of weight to the failure to appear, but I think an appropriate bond in this case would be $75,000. So that's going to be what the court sets the bond at.
All right. So when we hear him, right, in here talking, he said he was dealing with Kodak since he was 17. And this does seem to be the same lawyer that was on Pooh Shiesty case. It's like, I don't trust him. Yeah, I don't trust him. You know, dude is talking about the cases publicly, and Kodak is lost, man. He out here getting high, he lost, man. Kodak lost, man. He needs some time somewhere away from everybody. You know, that fast life out there around everybody is bad for him. And then also, Kodak claimed ownership to the money that was in the bag. Now that's bad. If he claimed ownership to the money that was in the bag, but saying the shit in the bag, the work wasn't his, that don't look good for him.